Hey, it's Cliff from SpeedCurve, and I wanted to quickly show you our new Vitals dashboard. There's been so much emphasis on Core Web Vitals when we've been talking to you all. We've gone ahead and created a first-class feature in the product around Vitals to give you an area to come in and focus quickly to determine what those vitals are, get a summary of that, as well as potentially what might be driving those. So by default, we're looking at your Lux data here at the 75th percentile. We can see largest contentful paint, first input delay, total blocking time, which isn't technically a web vital, but something we encourage you to look at that's based on your synthetic data, just to make sure between that and FID, you're getting a good understanding of how JavaScript is impacting your end users. And then finally, cumulative layout shift. We can get a little bit more detail as we drill into each one of these. The full distribution of what this looks like with the histogram here for largest contentful paint, seeing where we're at, which is really interesting. We've got a couple distributions going on. The time series data showing those different thresholds and where they occur. We can actually see the 2 frames before and after where that largest contentful paint happened by marrying up your synthetic data with your RUM data. Really important here, make sure that what you're doing when you're addressing your page labels, both in your site settings as well as with your Lux data, that they match up, because this is how we can kind of link these 2 things together, which is super cool. First input delay, we show the same distribution. For total blocking time, we show this for your synthetic data, but we're also giving you an idea of which domains are contributing potentially to long tasks on your site and driving up that total blocking time. Cumulative layout shift, we've talked a lot about, blogged a lot about, heard a lot about. We've added some cool stuff in the product there in our test details. We brought that forward here in the Vitals dashboard as well, where we can show you frame by frame where those layout shifts are occurring and highlight the rectangles of which elements actually shifted, so you know which ones to go after. So that's an overview of the dashboard. So hopefully this gives you a good summary view for those that are just interested in what the score is, but also something that will allow you to dig into it a little bit more. One thing I'm really curious about is this distribution. So I can actually filter on this a bit more, and I can go ahead and say speedcurve.com. I personally care a lot about our blog page, and I can filter on mobile or desktop. That's all the filters we have, which is intentional. We want to keep this as close to what you might be seeing in your Google Web Console or other places where vitals are reported. I'm going to say desktop because most of my users are desktop users, and go ahead and say go. And what we see there is now that distribution is much more what we would expect to see, where everything's kind of occurring in this window here. So this segment of the population, or really the cohort that we were looking at, is a better representation, and we can see what the LCP looks like down here in our matched up synthetic data with our blog URL. Last thing would be that if you are not using Lux data, that's fine. We're going to go ahead and default and show you your synthetic data. And one other thing that you might actually want to look out for is if you're not seeing data come through and you do have Lux enabled, make sure that you're sending us Lux data. Otherwise, there won't be any data to show. Or potentially, you haven't enabled Lux for your synthetic site data here in your settings. And you can go ahead and go in, make sure that this box is checked here, just so you can make sure and tie those 2 data sets together. That's all I got. Hopefully this is useful for you. Love your feedback and have fun.